Additionally, ANUD has experienced drawdowns in the past, during which the stock has either consolidated or caught up to its recent gains before, of course, experiencing a parabolic surge. Do you believe that we are currently experiencing another one of these times when the stock is sort of consolidating before rising in response to the next significant catalyst? Yes, it is our opinion. If you look at what's happening with yields in Blackwell, consider not only the October quarter, but also the demand trajectory for the next 6 to 9 months. We believe the ultimate order flow may be in the tens of billions. I don't look at names and think, oh, it's gone from X to Y. So you start looking for stocks that I consider to be inexpensive. Look at the figures, but that's CR. You essentially had earnings power of $1.70, and now you will have $56. Therefore, it also depends on the numbers. Additionally, it's similar to assembling a puzzle. Examine what Jensen is discussing and what the hyperscalers, Google, Amazon, and Nvidia are discussing. From a chip viewpoint, it is unlike anything we have seen in the past 30 years. Take a look at what we see here in Asia. Next, you examine use cases such as Palantir, ServiceNow, and Oracle. This is just the start. It's the start of $1 trillion in AI capital expenditures. But I'm not suggesting it's a straight line. Additionally, I would want to draw attention to one point because it is frequently brought up by institutional investors. Well, look at Cisco's chart in the late 90s and look at Nvidia's chart now. Oh, it's comparable. Back then, I covered technology. You see, Tom, you were also covering technology at the time. In those days, 90% of Cisco's clients were essentially startups with faulty business plans. In other words, upside-down situations. Many of such firms were non-existent. Who are today's buyers? Big internet companies have, over $1 trillion in cash on their balance sheets. Next, examine the situation from an enterprise standpoint, focusing on the sources of these funds. To put it simply, I don't think you can just throw up a chart. I get the story, but in terms of a tech bubble, this is a 95, call it 96, moment rather than a 99 movement. That's a really good point, yo. You know, Cisco wasn't selling chips for $100,000 or $120,000 either, so that's a crucial point. They were selling devices at a significantly reduced cost per unit, correct? Additionally, consider who the users were. They vanished. Yes, even the concentration risk is discussed here. Yeah, Microsoft and Nvidia, 44%. Is that Microsoft? Microsoft serves as a hyperscaler and middleman for the thousands of businesses who eventually purchase the chips. It's not the actual Microsoft. Therefore, that isn't really a concentration risk. You know what I mean? You're about to leave, and naturally, the DOJ. I mean, that's like exactly on time, like a crappy Netflix series or something. Even though it seems like it never happened, they receive a subpoena later that day. However, in terms of anxiety alone, we are currently in one of those states. You said buckle the seatbelt when September arrives. Yet I think the S&P 500 is significantly higher at the end of September than it is now. And for that reason, I believe that despite some anxieties about the macro, Fed, job numbers, or anything else you want to discuss, we are headed towards highs. Indeed, where did the DOJ's rumors about Nvidia originate? I believe a story or something similar got out because I noticed in the press that, boom. Ironically, though, if they receive the subpoena, it doesn't just step aside. Next Monday, Google will stand trial against the DOJ. We're just in one of those moods, you know. Big tech is back and is a bullseye. The powerful have become more powerful. Along with Apple, Amazon, and Google, Nvidia is a member of this group. Yes, I am aware. And you're still discussing, of course. They're going through a process even if they receive a subpoena. However, from an antitrust standpoint, that is a lengthy procedure. You got it? Excellent. In any case, I might want to zoom out a bit farther and briefly discuss our webinar that we held 9 months ago. As a sort of theme, you discussed a few topics that you truly enjoyed. It goes without saying that you enjoyed artificial intelligence, AI, and the software companies that deal with it, such as Palantir. Additionally, you found cybersecurity and its significance appealing. 9 months later in September, I suppose. I would like to hear your thoughts on the key themes you're noticing. and how they've evolved over the past 9 months. Indeed, I believe the themes are present, and it's possible that demand has increased much more than anticipated, particularly in relation to the use cases. I believe that the positive explosion of use cases that we are witnessing was something we did not anticipate. The key, in my opinion, is that the models have advanced to the point that businesses are now not only prepared to spend, but now have use cases in the areas of finance, energy, and healthcare. In fact, it has been the driving force behind the entire AI revolution. From the standpoint of general demand, I would argue that we may have anticipated where we are now. We most likely assumed that we would be in January or February, but here we are in September. Thus, it may be roughly 6 months earlier than we anticipated. Names like Palantir and ServiceNow, in my opinion, are actually ones that have gained attention as a result of that acceleration. On the downside, I believe that we may not have foreseen how AI will actually affect software sales processes when you look at companies like Salesforce and others. In my opinion, it will almost certainly interrupt sales cycles in the near future, despite being a major catalyst for the next 12 to 18 months. Yes, that makes sense. Thus, I believe it relates to the reason I frequently discuss the origins of the internet. We will experience phases. There will be hiccups. There will be times when things may go too far, and people may overreact either favorably or unfavorably. However, the reason for my second journey to Asia in the past month is that the AI revolution cannot be found in a spreadsheet. It is not located on the 15th level of a New York office building, and I believe that it simply boils down to what we're witnessing and demand. That, as you'll see here in the next 2 weeks, I believe you leave events like GTC, which speaks to the wider need. Yes, exactly. And I suppose CrowdStrike is one of the stocks that did surprise investors this year due to a mistake the firm made, and I would adore your opinion on that. Indeed, BlackBerry has long been a leader in cybersecurity, and I believe George would agree with CrowdStrike as well. However, it was a terrible software upgrade that will essentially be discussed for years to come, and I believe it will likely alter the process for software updates. And I believe that's why CrowdStrike did so poorly. What's surprising, in a positive way, is that within a week of that event, we were attempting to ascertain whether or not CIOs would transfer by speaking with distributors, integrators, and customers. How do sales cycles fare? In actuality, however, only about 3 to 4% of sales cycles were interrupted. If you go back 2 or 3 months, you can see that the CrowdStrike quarter was far better than anyone could have imagined. If this works for you, please let me know.